Hey everyone, it's Brandon. For my project, I set out to try to streamline how to monitor multiple web servers when those web servers are spread across multiple hosts. In what I'm about to show you, I only use one host, that is a remote host, but I'll show you how easily that the script that I wrote to do this can be scaled up to do almost an indefinable amount of hosts. So what I'm first going to start off with is just actually showing you guys how the script works. I named it Web Server Manager. When we first launch the script, we are brought to this menu and we're given a couple options here. And the one that I like the most, that I think is just the thing that would just take the most time, or maybe the most useful thing at a glance, would just be to check all of your server statuses. And that's why I made that option 1. So when we go to option 1, what our script is actually doing here is it looks at a text file. It's read into the script, and that just has a bunch of host names. And it will, for this script to work, you need, or for it to work the best, you need passwordless SSH setup onto those servers, because it is going to SSH into those hosts, and it's going to run system control status for whatever web services or any other type of services that you want. So if we run that here, we go back up to the top, we'll see that they're nicely divided by what host that they're on. So host rel VM1, this is actually my local machine. We can see that it is looking for, check the status of HTTPD, which is Apache, and Nginx, those are both web servers. We can see that both of these are dead, because I stopped them on my local machine, but they are currently running on my other VM. It is connecting via SSH to be able to do this, and we can see that those two are running. They've been running for about 2.5 hours now, each of them. So that just, we can, if we were to add more host names to the text file that I've created, and if those host names correspond to an IP address in etc. hosts, then we'd be able to do this to almost, I suppose, in theory, an infinite a number of hosts that you could check at once. If we didn't have passwordless SSH set up, we'd have to, for that first one, check server status. None of the commands we're running requires sudo or anything, but we would have to enter our passwords to connect to the server to do them anyway. So if we're doing this to a lot of hosts, passwordless SSH saves us a lot of time. The next thing that it can do is display access logs. Now for web servers, access logs are pretty much just telling you when a web browser connects to your server. So if we do option 2 here, we can see that for Apache and for Nginx on both my local machine and my remote machine, that they all have only one entry. So if we actually go over to my remote machine, we see here are my two servers. If we just refresh these pages a couple times, twice each, and we go back over here, we hit enter to go back to the main menu, and then do 2 again, we'll see that now there's 3 entries for the remote host because we connected to them again. Next up on the menu is to display the latest error logs. If we do this, we can see that Apache, these errors, it likes to repeat itself, and actually the errors are the same across both hosts. The first one is something about not being able to tell its fully qualified domain name and things like that. I could fix that, but since I'm not actually trying to connect these machines out to the open internet, I just haven't bothered to do that. So there's your latest error logs. I'm just that works by just using tail and viewing the last 20 logs of those. So for option 4, this is the backup server data option. When we run that, we can see that it works through the hosts again. What this command does is it goes to a couple files that I've specified. It makes tar archives with compression of them, and then it moves all of those to /backups. I'm not sure if this is the best place to put backup files, but so it's kind of just what I'm using for right now. There might be a better place to put them, but it just kind of made it easier for me to write the script, throwing all those files and backups. If we exit out of here, or actually if we just open up a new one, and we log in as root, we go to backups, yeah, why isn't that working? Anyways, there we are. I don't know why autocomplete wasn't working. There is all of our compressed tar files of our files. I have appended Apache _ in front of all the ones that go to the Apache server, and Nginx in front of all the ones that go to the Nginx server, because they share a lot of similar names. Like, they both have index files, they both have some other similar things. I didn't back up every single file that I could completely find of them, but I backed up enough, thinking that if something went wrong, you know, maybe that you would want the default configuration and the current configuration to just reference those to figure out what was wrong with your server. Also, the index files are like the static content page, so if we actually looked at the web servers, just the like HTML stuff, that's what's in those index files, so that's what's being backed up there. And the final option for the script is just 5, which is to exit it. You get a nice little thank you, and you're thrown back to your command line. So I guess the next thing I want to show you guys is just a bit about the actual coding of the script. This is Atom. I really enjoy this editor. So first, what we do, first function, is called read hosts. This is pretty much just a loop. I think there might be a more efficient way to do this. It's not a huge deal because my host file, like this is the only thing that's reading into it. So since it's 2 lines, I'm not going to worry about if there's a better way to do this, but I just have a little loop here that just reads it into an array, and then we use that array when we in other loops to go and connect to all the hosts later on. So we have our welcome message, we have a menu variable that is printed, and then the user options are read, and it's compared in an if statement. And if they're anything but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it tells you to please select an input between 1 and 5. And then I'll tell you what you input in case you might not know why whatever you put in didn't work. Then if it's any of those, it calls a function, option 1 through option 5. Option 1, here's this while loop. This is what we use to we SSH through the user host. This has the host names in it. This is an array with the host names. We have a variable I. This goes up by 1 every time we go through the loop, and that'll just increase. So it'll be, instead of using index 0 in the list, we'll use index 1. So that's just how we go through all of the things in the list. So what option does is just a system control status HTTPD, which is Apache. It echoes to create a space between the commands, and then system control status Nginx. And then if the return for SSH equals 255. I'm not sure why it's 255, but that's what it does when it's unable to connect. It will tell the user that that host is down. So it's not the fastest thing. It tries, I think, a little bit too long before giving up, but that's just the way it is. So for option 2, we're just using tail to read some logs here. We have some echoes in there to like kind of saying that this is the access log from HTTPD and then this is the access log from Nginx. But they pretty much do the same thing. Nginx and Apache, all of their files are like located in completely different spaces. So if I wanted to look at both of these at the same time, this is really helpful because they are in completely different directories. For this one, they are both in var/log, but if we go farther down here, we'll see that some of their other stuff is in completely different areas. It's pretty much the same thing for option 3, except instead of doing access log, we're looking at the error logs. In option 4, we make a directory, backups. We're throwing away the error to dev null because it gives you an error if it's already created. So if it's already created, it doesn't tell you anything, but it's just to make sure that the file that I wanted to throw the backups in is there. It gives you some more echo flavor text about what it's doing. It uses tar. This line kind of got really long. I think I could have perhaps used maybe another file listing all of the things, all the files I wanted to back up. However, it was a lot more nested loops and loops. So for my purposes right now, only having to do it to like 5 or so files, this is working well for me. And then we use SSH again, the loop through SSH to, after we back up all the files on both the machines, we go back and then move those files to /backups. And then option 5, we just clear, say thank you for using it, and exit. And then the final function is reprompt. This is what allows after you run a command to get back to the main menu. When we go to reprompt, every one of these options 1 through 4 ends in reprompt, and then that's how we get the press enter to return them the main menu. And if it reads what the user puts in, and this took a while to figure out, but if the user enters nothing, a blank string, it can't even be a space, that is incorrect. It just has to be 2 quotes. If they input null, then we get back to the main menu. If it's anything else, we reprompt again. And then at the very last of the thing, we do read host and main menu. Read hosts so we can get the myhost.txt into that array, and then main menu, that's just to launch the main menu to start the rest of the program. And then that pretty much does it. That's the whole logic of the script. Thank you for watching.